Hello and welcome again to our business talk. Today I have a special guest, Miguel Braga from Creative Management. And I'm looking very much forward to this conversation. So we met in several occasions and projects, and I have to say, always an exciting dialogue. So welcome, Miguel.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas.
Maybe to get started, so for people who don't know about creative management and you, can you tell a little bit more? Who are you? What's your focus?
Okay. Well, creative management started a few years ago when I left a big consulting company. We've been doing international projects in multiple countries in America Latina, in Switzerland, in Spain, in Australia. And we've been working for a long time with large companies and multinationals. But in the last 2 years, I thought how to transpose this experience into small, medium-sized companies and help them grow, where we can act much directly and really go into the details that transform a company. And this has been a very exciting journey.
Okay, that's fantastic. There we have certainly a lot of touch points currently and history-wise. I always find it fascinating to work with small and medium enterprises, also growth-oriented enterprises, because when you look at many countries, they are making the backbone of the national economies, and they come in large numbers. And sometimes you even discover hidden champions in this group. No? But also, they often have a lot of questions, no? Because they're not as let's say, well equipped like the large enterprises. So a key question here, of course, is what do you see as the key challenges that they usually come up with?
Yeah, okay. Let me show you two slides very quickly. Let me see if I can present them. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes, very well.
Okay, what we typically do, we try to focus on objectives. This is not exhaustive on typical objectives, but I've selected six more common, either to grow sales, when and this is very often where we start. The companies, the small companies need to grow. They're usually in a challenging position where they're not big enough yet to support their structure of costs. So grow sales is a key objective. But connected to that one is to improve the customer experience, to create a great customer experience. And that also it's connected to boosting visibility. That means bring more people typically to the websites to be known. Small companies, it's always a challenge to be known in the market and to expand the markets. And then the three last ones is about to deliver with operational excellence. And that means often automate tasks. And finally, to improve the efficiency and reduce costs. We try always to do it in a step-by-step innovation process. That means we look at the company as a whole and we try to create small innovations. And the innovations are not really complex things or very complex products. Sometimes it's making small changes that make a lot of difference. So this is the core of the typical objectives, and we identify what are the specific objectives for each customer, which usually are different.
Hmm. Fantastic. You mentioned the small steps. I couldn't agree more. No, it's very important to also stage these projects or improvement projects. Could you give an example from your practice? What would be a good example of such a small step that an enterprise can take?
Yep. We have so once we identify the objectives, we map the enablers. What we call the enablers are the tools, resources, the things that we're going to act on to deliver the results. And our experience, it's not only one enabler or act on one side. You have to act on multiple sides. So the beauty of this is we want to find on a very pragmatic approach which are the enablers, or let's see it as piano keys, that we have to touch in the right sequence to make something happen. So very often we start with the sales pipeline. We design the sales pipeline and the sales flow, and we implement tools to deliver that. Then we go into digital marketing campaigns. We also use a lot of email marketing campaigns for existing customers, and digital marketing campaigns to get new customers and new market share. Then very often also we work with designers to design the website and create very live, engaging and dynamic websites. We have designers that we collaborate to deliver very good websites. And we build dashboards for the clients so that they can control their business and create forms to interact with the customers through forms, through questionnaires. And often those forms are integrated into the process. That means when we can collect and automate a lot of processes. And so this is a cycle where we automate the process and the relation with the customer. Always keep in mind the objectives that we want to achieve.
Yeah. So you go from objectives to the enablers, and then you engage in this iterative process, I guess. No? So it's probably not done in one cycle. You have to go through many cycles and then check the results as you go along, right?
We use a lot of Agile as a project management. We start deploying things very early. Usually from some clients, it took us 2 weeks to start deploying things and changing things on the terrain. And we deploy very fast, we correct, we improve, we rethink things, and then we go on cycles of changes that usually take about 1 week, 1.5 weeks, usually not more than that. So we want to keep on changing. We don't believe on doing a large analysis to a customer and having huge thoughts how to do things and plan them in detail. We believe in improving very quickly and see the results and then improve even better.
Wow, that's fantastic, because I think one misperception is out there, especially also with the smaller companies. They say, okay, we're kind of struggling to even get started because it's probably taking a lot of time. And it's kind of this myth out there that digitalization is a big thing and you have to do everything at once. But when you say, okay, we deploy something within a couple of weeks, that's of course a completely different approach. And then you see the first results, and then when people smell that there's something cooking, then they want to usually do more, right?
It's really exciting, and it's great to see the customers really smiling when they look at the results and things happening. It makes a difference.
Yeah, and I want to echo something that you said. You also start with the sales process, no? And typically, when I'm meeting with clients, they typically have a lot of pain points. But one thing or a couple of things they usually want to do first or foremost, and that is winning more clients or generating more leads, winning more clients. Then for those who are more, let's say, service oriented, they also want to find more talents, more employees. And that's the second challenge. And some businesses who have, let's say, supply and delivery chains, they also need to find more supply chain partners and so on. So it's basically kind of attracting more of these entities. And that is prompting then also these capabilities. No? So you need to digitalize the processes, do a good job in the user experience or candidate experience when it comes to hiring. And then once you have that, you can put more load on the system. No? So I think that's a fantastic approach, and it doesn't overburden the businesses who also, we have to acknowledge, they have to run the show on a day-to-day basis. No? They're not just waiting for another digitalization to happen, though they have pain points, of course. Yeah. Right. This is all fantastic. I think we can probably dive into each one of these in separate areas, and there's probably much to share and show and tell. I want to talk a little bit about the tool set that you use. I know that you have a certain way of helping clients to embark on the digital journey, but what's kind of your tool set or your tech stack, as we sometimes say?
Yeah, that's the interesting part because, as I told before, from my previous experience, we start with consulting. We design processes, we rethink the organization, we will map how things worked, but then we could never implement it because it's a large organization that's up to the client to work with. And to do this new approach for smaller, medium companies, we had to select a tool. We've searched the market on different tools, different platforms, and in the end, we selected Zoho. Zoho is, let's call it, a business platform where you can have multiple different tools that are implemented, that are integrated and can be implemented one by one or piece by piece on a piecemeal. So what we do is basically we integrate this consulting analysis, this experience of thinking how things should work on, with the experience of deploying a platform. We found Zoho is very complete. It has a very wide set of tools that are quite well integrated and very easy to implement, and it's really, really fast to see the results. And that's essential because for a small company, time is money. A small company can't pay consulting fees as the large companies do. So we really try to set it very quickly, deliver results, and then move to the next step. And we always say to the customer that, okay, you can move on and leave us anytime you want. But what happens is they keep on asking more things and implementing more things because results are just across the line. So that's how we integrate all those things into one business redesign. We think as completely business redesign and digitalization. It's very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for those viewers and listeners who don't know about Zoho, I think that's also probably worth another topic. I find this a very interesting, yeah, as you say, business platform. It's kind of a business operating system, if you want, very complete. On the other hand, it also is at the beginning challenging to learn all the tools because Zoho as a company is known for a very high rate of innovation. They bring out new products, new applications very, very quickly in a high sequence. No? Maybe we can touch just a couple of examples, the kind of the core tool or tools that you typically work with when you start working with the company.
The words I use most is the Zoho CRM implementing. That's where I usually start with the CRM to set up the sales processes. But then on top of the CRM, I also start deploying some of the processes of the customer interactions, the customer service, depending on the business. So that's usually our starting point. Mm-hmm. Then we've been using, for example, Zoho Campaigns, which is a tool to do digital marketing campaigns, email marketing. And it's very efficient. There are clients where we send an email marketing campaign every 1 or 2 weeks, and we can monitor how they interact with the campaigns. And this is, of course, is connected with the CRM, so we can measure how many times the client opened those emails and to really understand if he is interested or not, if there's potential or not. Then we also try to move the website into Zoho sites because the integration with all the processes and the simplicity of using it allow us to keep our client sites completely dynamic. That's very important to have a dynamic site that is always fed with more relevant information to be search engine optimized. For example, we use Zoho Social to create interactions with the social networks. We're integrating Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram tools. There are clients where we have a client where more than 30,000 users on Facebook, another 35,000 users on on Instagram are managed in one site only, and the customer team can interact with every customer, respond to every question directly on Zoho tools. So these are some examples. I could have just add one more, which is used a lot, which is Zoho Analytics, that actually in the last Gartner quadrant is very well positioned. And we're using Zoho Analytics to integrate all the information from the customer, from based on the CRM, on the campaigns, on inclusive other tools. We inclusively import Excel sheets and dynamic Excel sheets so that all that business information is seen one side. For me, this is really exciting because it's something that small companies could not have access a few years ago. And now they can, and it's quite reasonable at a quite reasonable cost. So it's a game changer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was actually very surprised how affordable the solution is. No? So in the essence, you can provide a complete integrated workflow and solution. No? You mentioned CRM. I think it's important to mention Zoho has two versions of CRM. A smaller one, it's called Begin, and the other one is CRM. I understand you're more in favor of the, let's say, the real thing, the CRM version of it, no? But then also interesting tools. What I found, so when we started working with this, I found it very interesting that you can actually replace a lot of other tools, no? Because typically what we find is that there is a landscape that has been growing over the years, maybe, and companies have tried different things. So you find what is in Zoho is called campaigns. In other company, it's MailChimp or other tools, etc. No? I think that's one key highlight. The other one, which I think is important, two things I would add here. One is the challenge when you have, of course, you can choose let's say, different tools and products, and you say, okay, I always choose the best in class. It has the latest bells and whistles. But then comes the point when they're not exactly working together. And I think that's usually the point of frustration for a lot of companies. Then either you have to do some custom development or start over again with another tool and yet run into another wall. Along those lines, one thing that I found interesting, you mentioned Zoho Analytics. No? A lot of companies want to have dashboards, so they want to know what's going on, etc., in the entire delivery chain. One thing I find interesting is that Zoho is starting and giving a data model that you don't have to, let's say, prepare. So you don't need to go through a big cycle of data preparation, data cleansing, connecting it. It's already there. So you enable it, you call the dashboard, and it's already running. That, I think, is a really big plus and a game changer. Yeah.
Let me share an experience. Typically, we're working with a company that does horse riders, and it has quite large volume. It's the largest company of horse riding in Portugal. And we started with the CRM. We implemented the processes for the customers to book horse ridings and to manage them, close deals, and get the payment, process the payment. And we imported, of course, all the previous horse riders that they had and all the previous customers. And after 2 or 3 months, when we start to have ongoing operations completely supported by Zoho, we said to the client, okay, now we're going to build your dashboards. And in 2 days, we had a set of the basic dashboards that basically cover 360% of the business. We have it done. It's really fast. For me, it's a game changer because it's faster. It's faster than any implementation I've seen in other tools. Right. And that's the key idea for a small company. If you don't do it fast, it's not sustainable. It's too expensive.
Right. And then the next question. Right now, we are at the beginning of the age of artificial intelligence and machine learning, no? And Zoho has their own version of that. It's called Zia. Zia is tapping into large language models, and they use that to enrich their applications, to improve the workflows, etc. We've started using that, and it's fantastic. No?
Yeah.
It's such a big help. And I think this also breaks down the barrier of, okay, how do I get started with AI? Everybody's talking about it, but how should I use it? And you just, with the flip of a button, you say, okay, I want this process to be AI enabled. For example, writing compelling social media posts, writing job descriptions, and contracts. And contracts probably not a good way to write with AI, but like general documents, for example. No? Also in the analytics area, I think this is one of the big forthcoming things that are happening right now, probably worth a whole webinar series in itself. No? But I think that's really makes it more practical. No? And with the rapid implementation, I think people can start enjoying these new capabilities without having to go through very long project cycles.
Yeah.
All right. This has been all great. Is there anything that we didn't cover that I didn't ask you today? I feel like we need to do a couple more of these talks because there's so much more exciting work happening right now. But is there anything else? And the big question is, how can people find you?
It's easy to find me through the website. You can see the link here. And also, we're very integrated and working together with WITTIGONIA and then Thomas. So you always can get through Thomas to us. And we can show you how we deliver things. I'm really excited to work with new clients and change companies. Sometimes it's so difficult to change, and then we come in and change really fast. It's been exciting.
Yeah. And I certainly want to echo that. It's been a great journey so far, and I'm very thankful for this new form of partnership. So, for people who want to find you and those who are maybe listening to this talk on the podcast, creative-management.net, or for our company, it's wittigonia.net. You will find the links in the show notes wherever this talk is going to be published. So that was great. Thank you very much, Miguel. And looking forward to the next topics and chapters. And again, thank you very much.
Thomas, thanks for this opportunity. Look forward for new projects with you.
All right. As everybody else, then, as always, good luck.
Okay. Thank you.